Hey guys, welcome back to the Kool-Aid Podcast. Welcome back to another episode, Season 4, Episode 5. Big episode as Barcelona. Tomorrow, we're going to be playing in the Champions League against Chelsea, and I have a special guest on for tonight's preview. HH, a content creator, a Chelsea fan, who I've been watching for a significant amount of time, all the way back, I think, in 2016 is when I first started watching your content.
Okay. I was hold on. I need to do something real quick. Keep rolling. I'll do something real quick because I need to figure it out. Hold on.
No worries. But guys, as always, what is this guy doing?
I mean, come on, bro. No.
I need to get my Barcelona jersey. I need to get my Barcelona jersey right now.
I'm not doing a damn podcast without saying what's up to Uncle Didier. I really was going to say what's up to Uncle Didier, bro. I've got to have your boy Didier behind me, bro. So.
Oh my god. But guys, as always, all the links to both HH's channel and as well as my social media platforms is going to be posted down below. The link to become a member is also posted down below. But HH, I want to ask you just first before we start, are you nervous? Are you nervous to get like absolutely destroyed by Lamine Yamal? It's okay if you're nervous. I completely understand it.
Well, see, the thing though is that if I didn't speak fluent UCL, if I didn't speak fluent trophy, I would be super nervous. So especially if I was Arsenal, who don't speak basic UCL, if I was United, who almost got relegated last season, then I'll be nervous.
That's true.
The issue though is that the problem is that I don't know how we're never going to have one of these bad boys. See, when you have one of these bad boys, you can't be nervous. But look, I'll be real with you. I would have loved to have seen two of the best players of their generation on the pitch at the same time, i.e. Palmer and Yamal on the pitch at the same time. So Palmer, he's not going to be available. But I feel, look, there've been a lot of history, and maybe we'll get into a bit of the history of Chelsea and Barcelona.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, nervous? No. Because I do feel that the Chelsea, they play to their opposition. And I think that Chelsea, knowing that it's Barcelona, knowing what Barcelona are about, I think they're going to raise their game and they're going to give their best game. So I'm hoping that's actually going to be a very exciting game. So for me, because again, we can talk about tactics and everything. 100% the Barca attack is going to be tricky. I just think that with our Barca defense and our high line, if Maresca gets his tactics right, I think Chelsea can get something, bro.
I mean, just looking at these two teams before we talk about the tactics, the key players to look out for and everything like that. But I think both teams are actually going to be going into this game on a very similar playing field, because when you're looking at their UCL results so far throughout the season, both teams have 2 wins, they have a draw, and they have a loss. They've had multiple instances throughout the season where they've had ups, they've had downs. Chelsea, big win against Ajax, 5-1, a loss against Bayern Munich. Barcelona outplayed in the second half by Bayern Munich. Newcastle, very strong performance. And so this is the type of game in which you're going to be saying, hey, how are these two teams shaping up at this point of the season? Because you have Chelsea doing their thing in the Premier League. I'm hearing the narrative surrounding the Chelsea. I'm hearing the narratives. Big bro is chasing down little bro.
Yes.
Big bro is chasing down little bro. And so that's also a factor that can play into the conversation. And of course, Barcelona fighting against Real Madrid. Elche doing us a favor, clinching some points back. And
again, it says that you could talk about should the Bellingham goal have stood. You could talk about Vinny trying to do the UFC beat down on the keeper. And now you have a situation where Tebas has come out and said that he's been a Madrid supporter since he was 6 years old. So it's all popping off in La Liga right now. So there's so much footage for me to do. So
yeah, and so you're looking at both these two teams shaping up and everything, and it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good game because when we talk about the historic clash between Chelsea and Barcelona, the memories. Obviously, you have 2009, you have 2012. We wins and losses. You have 2018 as well. But it's going to be an exciting clash.
Because I just it's one of those things where like I want to just see like. Because these games are sort of in increments. I look at it at 10 minutes. So those first 10 minutes is to see how Chelsea is going to react, because you know how Like Barcelona, you always know how they play. I just know how they're going to operate. So my thing is, how are Chelsea going? I think the key thing is the midfield. Very important, the midfield. Because let's be real. The best player for Barcelona, the most dangerous player for Barcelona is Yamal. I think one of their most important players in terms of how they function is Pedri.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy Pedri's not playing because I think if Pedri was there, it'd be difficult. So the reason why I think that Chelsea are going to have a good chance of this is because I think without Pedri, I think Caicedo is going to eat Ding Dong alive, bro. I think he's going to have Ding Dong for lunch, bro. I really believe so.
Here's the thing with that midfield battle. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's going to be. We saw in that game against PSG where Barcelona, we had a really strong start. We were looking dominant, but as the game went on, you saw PSG gain more and more momentum, and you saw that midfield being overrun. Pedri was covering vast amounts of space along with Frenkie de Jong. And Eric Garcia, obviously, with the absence of Pedri, Eric Garcia is most likely going to be in that pivot position. Maresca, not really in favor with Hansi Flick. Imagine having a center back play in that pivot position over an actual CDM. That sends out a message. And so maybe Eric Garcia, could he have that battle against Caicedo? But then again, I favor Caicedo. Fermin Lopez, could he add some value there as well?
I even said this yesterday, though. Like, I feel that the player that Chelsea have to watch out for the most is Fermin Lopez. Because Yamal is obvious. So, obviously, that's like Cucurella is already thinking about, okay, what do you do? Do we double team him? How do we close off the space, restrict him from getting into his sweet spot of left foot and trying to bend it around and trying to stop his trivial passes? Those are obvious. But I think because Fermin Lopez is not a big name, he's not known about, but he's a very good player and he's very effective. And I think he's going to pick up those positions in like the number 10 and the half space. But that is where it's going to be. Because I think if Fermin Lopez plays well, I think Barca win. I think Lopez might actually be Barcelona's most important player because I think that's the player that Chelsea may not really be looking at close in terms of, okay, we have to actually stop him connecting the midfield to the attack. So.
And Fermin Lopez is having an absolutely great season so far because I don't know Fermin Lopez's specific numbers, but he's among Barcelona's top goal scorers and top assisters. Here, let me share this really quickly so you guys can see right here. But this is Fermin's stats so far in the matches that he's played. And so just in La Liga, he started 6 matches and he has 6 goal contributions. And this is a player who has been injured for some period of time. You saw at the start of the season, he was out injured. And Fermin Lopez, he's a player who's going to be, as you said, so important. He's going to add that dynamic in that front line alongside Robert Lewandowski. And I think he's a player that's going to be starting. The Spanish Elmo, as you call him, he isn't having a particularly great season so far. He's struggling really to show that level that he did last season. And he's for sure going to be starting. But, I want to be looking at this from the Chelsea perspective a little bit. So you opened up we opened up the episode sort of talking about your feelings and sensations in regards to Chelsea, how it's a very equal game. But, looking at it, how would you line up Chelsea? Like, what would be your game plan necessarily to counter some of the things that Barcelona they may do?
I think we have to actually be sort of play like a containment game. So the plan is give Barca the ball and allow Barca to approach with the ball and then counter. So which is why I feel that, again, even if I'm not his fan, Garnacho is going to be key, but also Neto as well. Because what you now need is basically speed and being direct. Because I think that high line is for the taking.
It is.
Which is why I think that Delap and Pedro are not going to be as important. But I think the wingers are going to be very key. So if we now counter you through the wings, because we have fast guys, whether that is Gittins, whether that is Garnacho, whether that is Esteval, so for me, I think this is a game built for Esteval and Neto, because Neto can play either left or the right, so it doesn't matter where he plays. So you have Esteval and Neto there, and if you play to them and you counter them, I think that's going to be very key. So those balls over the top and trying to break the offside trap and trying to set off the wingers to now either cut in or play the ball across to a Delap or to a Pedro, I think is going to be very key. The danger is what Chelsea don't want is to make this like a back and forth, a Wild West. Because I think what Barca wants is to Chelsea to come out and make it like a back and forth game. Because if it's a back and forth game, you're giving Yamal space, you're giving Fermin Lopez space, you're giving all of this, you're giving Ferran Torres space. And if you give this guy space, technically, they're just going to just hurt us badly. So that's just what Chelsea want.
Okay. And obviously not having Cole Palmer there is a huge miss. You know,
Yeah,
I would have loved to actually see that see that battle between Cole Palmer and Lamine Yamal, because there has been a narrative, you know, Cole Palmer missing in the big games. There has been that narrative going around.
Please, forget the narrative.
That narrative has been around. And so it would have been absolutely exciting to see that and everything. But, you know, you were talking about Nacho, you were talking about Neto, Esteval as well. But who is that one player who you say he must have a big game for Chelsea to get the 3 points or to get a result on the night?
Caicedo.
Okay.
He's the key. Because what Caicedo will do, I don't know what was doing. Kai's baby, that's how I call it. It's basically Kai's baby. What Kai's baby needs to do is to stop the connection from the midfield to the attack and to break up possession, and also him now launching the transitions. So his interceptions are going to be key, because if he makes the interception in the right moments, if Barca have an overload, that's now how Chelsea will now be able to catch Barca unawares, where they now light the back and we now launch a quick counter. So Caicedo's interceptions and when he wins the ball could be very key to launch the right attack as to when Barca do not have too many guys. So if we now have like a 3-on-2 or like a 4-on-2, or boom, then it's key. So Caicedo, 100%, he's the key. If he plays well, it's not a guarantee. If he plays well, we can say what's up.
See, because
So is the Ski going to be starting, or is it going to be Shaq as the striker? Shaq or the Ski?
No, I think it's going to be the Ski. I think the Ski has to start. You know,
Okay.
In these big European nights, you need that quality.
Yeah.
Because even though Robert Lewandowski, he's 37, obviously he doesn't have the legs.
He still scores goals.
That's the thing, you know. When you're looking at his, I would say his goals per 90 or something, he's scoring at a ridiculously efficient rate. When any chance that he gets, he's just finishing it. Ferran Torres, and then this past game against Athletic Club, he scored a brace. You know, obviously, you know, some fantastic goals and everything. But there are instances where you're thinking, oh, Ferran, like, finish that. You know,
Yes.
Chelsea, this is a big game. A chance that you get, you need your top striker to finish. And Robert Lewandowski is that. And I believe he's going to be starting. He's going to be starting, and I think it's going to be most likely Ferran Torres coming off of the bench. But this is a discussion that Hansi Flick is going to be having, and just seeing how fit Marcus Rashford is. Because if Marcus Rashford is fit, I think he starts instead of Ferran. But if Marcus Rashford isn't fit, then it's going to be Lewa, Lamine, Ferran, and Fermin. You know, that's going to be that front line. But it depends on who's fit and the availability of the players.
So have you heard about this whole, again, even if I'm not into this whole like the record of this play against his club, but apparently Rashford has a pretty good record against your boys.
That's what I'm saying. I remember those free kicks that he scored for
United.
For United. It was absolutely crazy, you know, watching that and everything. And you saw him perform well. Marcus Rashford, he's played in the Premier League for so many years. He's familiar with Chelsea. He's familiar with the stadium, with the fans, with the environment. I say if Marcus Rashford is fit, you play him. This is the type of game in which you want him to do well in, and I think that's something that can play to his effect.
That's actually a really good question since we're here. So I would argue that the best versions of both of these sides within the same given year was 2012. I would argue that. Would you agree? Where they were both really good, but at the same time within the same given year. Because my thing though is 2018 Chelsea, like okay, like okay, it has the ball, but not as good as the other sides.
No, it was just like Hazard.
Yeah, because 2012 that was obviously still the 2011 team, still Messi 91 goals, and for Chelsea, even though the 05 core was much older, it still had the 05 core. So Lampard was still there, Drogba was still there, Terry was still there. Then you had guys like Ramirez still there. So Ashley Cole still there. So you still had the very core of Chelsea's golden generation, which is the 05 team. So my question is, how far do you think each of these teams have fallen from the 2012 sides? How much disparity?
Ooh, I mean, wait, was it the 05, 06 team that got that defensive record, or was it the 2012 team?
No. It was the 04, 05 team.
Okay. I mean, Chelsea, they were always a defensive juggernaut, you know?
Yeah.
Looking at those highlights and looking back at Barcelona and that team, it's just, we struggled so much just to create. You had just a defensive lockdown. And what I would say is Barcelona's best, I would say that 2011 season. Obviously, 2012, yeah, I mean, but that was really Messi just going absolute beast, just scoring 19 goals. But
But I think though, but I still think, even if the players are not the same, I think the philosophy is still the same. What I would say though, I think the general philosophy of attack is still the same for Barcelona.
Yes,
but the difference is how the defense is set up and how they view possession. Chelsea is completely different.
No, completely
It is
different.
totally different. It is like in almost every single way. It's the difference. As you said, that team was built on defense.
Yeah.
And being strong, being physical, and have tall, strong guys, and being pragmatic. This team is ultimately about possession, and our defense is our weakest point. Like easily the weakest point of the Chelsea team is the defense. Easily, that's our weak spot.
I mean, you saw it in the big games, you know. So some silly mistakes. I believe it was Gusto against Bayern who gave away those silly passes and everything. That's something that you just can't afford at the Champions League. You know, like you can't be affording any mistakes. Ron Araujo, he's most likely going to be starting. I'm gonna be looking at him. I'm gonna be looking at him. I'm saying, hey, no bozo moments, because he has the bozo gene in him.
Well. Apparently, they're saying Donald Trump, George Washington, and Bill Clinton dunked on him in the friendly between the US and Uruguay.
Yeah. Oh my God, bro, he got cooked. He got absolutely turned. But I mean, hey, you know, let's see.
So let me say this just real quick. I mean, do you think it really was a much? I won't know it's big, but do you think it was actually a pretty massive mistake selling Inigo Martinez?
See, because Inigo Martinez is a huge miss. He's a massive miss because he's, you know, when you realize that back line, no one is, I would say, in their peak years or in their prime or nearing their prime. And Jules Koundé is like 25, 26, around there. Rajo, same thing. Pau Cuarci, 18. You know, all of these guys are not veterans. They're not seasoned. You know, these guys haven't gone to World Cups and won everything there is and everything. Obviously, Inigo isn't in that, you know, stature. He hasn't won everything, obviously, but he's been around. He's played against Suarez, against Ronaldo, against the Benzemas. He has so much experience under him. And when you're playing a high line that requires so much concentration, you need that leader. And I don't think there's a leader in that back line. And the board, you know, they were kind of, you know, not to say forced, but it was a necessity. There was a necessity to sell him. Inigo Martinez received a huge offer. You know, generational wealth.
Like that Saudi bag is crazy. You can't reject
the Saudi bag is crazy. You can't really reject that. Barcelona, they needed, you know, space in the wage bill in order, because with La Liga removing the sale of the VIP seats, that means that Barcelona had to make so much ground on the wage bill, basically.
Yeah.
And so we needed the departure of Inigo Martinez. That's, you know, wages off of the wage bill. You bring in Marcus Rashford. You bring in Joan Garcia, two players who are needed, obviously. And so I'm looking at this team, and I've said this on the channel multiple times, but we need reinforcements in January, whether that be, you know, a left-footed center back, a must need, or a fullback. That's something that, you know, could be, I would say, a cherry on top, a plus. But reinforcements are needed, because you saw in the month prior, in those big games when all your players were out injured, there's injuries. Barcelona don't have the squad depth like of a PSG, like of a Bayern Munich necessarily, whose leagues are even weaker, but have the luxury to rest their players and have the, I would say, the strength as well to go into these Champions League with their full squad just up and ready. And so Barcelona, we need that squad in order to compete against these teams.
No, because I just feel that, again, just even looking back to this game, Chelsea's weakness is the defense. Mm-hmm. I don't think Barca's weakness is not the defense. Barca's weakness is whether the defenders can properly execute the game plan of that the defense. Yeah. So that's the thing. So Chelsea's hope is that, again, Flick has a plan A, doesn't have a plan B. It's always going to be attack, offside trap, play high, and put pressure on the opposing team. Mm-hmm. And I would say, like, every strategy has a weakness. So the whole idea is that, we know what our weaknesses are, but because we will execute the game plan so well, it will not expose our weaknesses. So the thing that is that because Inigo Martinez, who I just thought understood how to play the game plan, and him and Kubasi just understood it, I feel that whether you put Araujo there, you put Eric Garcia there, I just don't think that they have the understanding, which is why I feel Chelsea's chance of Chelsea saying what's up is hoping these guys may make a mistake. Yeah. So because again, like, I don't know who it was. It was one team that I saw. Was it Getafe?
No. I was. We lost this season, or we dropped points against Sevilla. That was the 4-1 loss. Okay. Against Rayo Vaticano. That was a draw. And then we also obviously lost to PSG and Real Madrid.
Okay, no, because remember there was one game. I can't remember which one it was where I think you won the game eventually, but the amount of times that they just beat that offside trap was insane. So my thing though is, you beat an offside trap again. You have to time it. You have to be smart, but also it's through speed. I don't know whether you've seen Liam de Delap, but the guy is a tree trunk,
yeah, I'm reading the comments. I believe you're referring to Celta Vigo. No, Club Brugge. Club Brugge. We drew that game in the Champions League. I think you maybe were referring to. But I don't know. There's I would say there's 3 or 4 games this season that are basically like a repeat of just saying, hey, just have one guy offside, have a runner in behind, just break that high line, put in a low-driven cross, and boom, goal. We've conceded the copy and paste, for the rest of the season. Yeah. But looking at how both of these teams are coming in, how much importance do you put into this result? Do you think that, hey, this could be a big booster to Chelsea? Because obviously, we're in the knockout group stages and everything. There isn't much, I would say, worry to not qualify. But this could be a big confidence booster to say, hey, Chelsea, we're on the right path for the
But see, this is why it's coming quickly. In terms of the Champions League, I don't think it matters that much because there are so many more games to still course correct to finish in the top 8 or even the playoffs. But who do we have on Sunday? Yeah, it's Lil Bro. We've got Lil Bro on Sunday.
It's Lil Bro.
So if we beat Barcelona, a top team, it is going to give the guys confidence of beating one of the toughest teams in the league and the league leaders on Sunday. Yeah. So I do feel that it would be a huge mental, psychological, self-confidence boost if we're able to beat you guys during the week going into that game on Sunday. Because, bro, like, we are 6 points behind Arsenal, and I think it's because, wait, hang on, if we beat Arsenal, we can be in the title race. So I think, because, see, that's why this Champions League thing is weird, because if this was around 7 or around 8 and a top 8 was in jeopardy, then it would mean something. So I think for this, it's more so 2 top teams, 2 high-octane teams. It teams with a lot of history. Guys just want to win. Yeah. But I just don't think it means that much. But I don't. Based on the history of the teams, the games always mean something. So whether you want to talk about 09, the Overable thing, whether you want to talk about 2012, and just the craziness of that game, those are just 2 you look at some of the most historic games in history, is those 2 games. Bro, the guy behind me, Drogba, bro, if you just mention Barcelona to Drogba, he will relapse. Because he still has PTSD over what happened. So I think that there is storied history between both of these sides.
No, but yeah. But I mean, when you think about it, it's so true. Like, some of the most iconic memories in football are from those matches. Yes, obviously, and obviously you don't want to lose the game because it's such a big confidence booster, momentum builder as well. And just on a little tangent, but thoughts on this UCL format? Because I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like, yeah, if this was like later on in the Champions League, there could be so much more importance placed onto it. But even then, in the league phase, there isn't much consequence if you do poorly because
So this was my thing though. So again, because obviously you live in America, so you understand like American concepts.
Yeah.
And this is just where you see, like a smart guy thinks he knows everything. A wise guy knows he knows nothing and learns from other people. So I do feel like if for Europeans, they feel, oh, these Americans, they don't know sports, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it is true. So I think that the concept of no relegation in American sports, I think is bad. I think that's something that the Europeans do better, which is having relegation and promotion.
I agree.
What I think the Americans do better is the concept of the playoffs. What makes more sense is you've got 30 teams. 16 go through. The first team plays 16th, home advantage. Second place 15th, home advantage. Third place for 14th. And just like the NBA playoffs, that first team, no matter what, you're always going to face the weakest team as you go through, with the idea being first place second in the final. But what you now have is a team who finishes 20th or 19th gets yet another chance or the plus. I'm like, no, that's garbage. No. 30 teams. You have to finish in the first 16. Simple as that. And then once you do that, first against 16. So basically, why do we have another draw for the next round? Because the whole point is that I have to be given. So what's the point in finishing first? The whole point of finishing first is I should be rewarded for finishing first. So if I finish first, you could have a draw where you face a team who finished, I don't know, 15th.
No.
And a team, and a team in second may face a team who finishes in 20th.
No.
Hang on.
No.
How does a team in second face a worse team with the finish in the first? So the only thing that makes sense is that for rewarding me for actually being the best team in the league phase, I face the worst performing team in the league phase. And I face the next worst performing team and the next worst performing team until it gets harder and harder until the final. It makes so much freaking sense, bro.
Yeah. Oh my God. And obviously, just look at last season. Look at PSG. Look at the champions. They became the UCL champions and they had a horrendous start. If this was, the UCL of the past, where it's the groups of four, and PSG had that same season, they wouldn't have won the trophy. They would have been knocked down in the groups. I would like a little bit more jeopardy, implemented into this group stage. Add some more stakes.
So let me ask you this. So, because I know what I prefer, but would you prefer the old groups format, or would you prefer like the NBA playoff 16 format?
See, because I do like this because you are able to play against multiple, top teams.
Yes.
Regardless of you being, from the same nation or not. But at the same time, I feel that there isn't enough at stake in the groups for it to make at least a little bit more entertaining. Because if Barcelona, let's say we were to lose this, we'd be on 7 points with 5 matches played. That's dreadful. That's half of the point. You have teams in the top 8 who are just going to be qualifying pretty soon. And so maybe because there's 36 teams in the UCL group stage, maybe I would say remove 4-6 teams or something like that. Make it a little bit more entertaining, because then I'd be like, oh my God, I'm having a bad group stage. Because even if you have like a bad group stage, just say, hey, players are coming by, I'm gonna be facing
that's the issue. You're right. I think what you want is jeopardy. But again, it's UEFA don't want a situation where a big market team somehow fails to make it the next playoffs. So if Bayern or Real Madrid or any of these guys somehow just comes 20th or 19th, they don't want to lose that kind of big market team in there. But the whole point, I don't know, but like that I don't give a crap about that point. The whole point is it's about the entertainment. If you're good enough as a team, you should be good enough to come 16. There is no reason why you've got like 30 teams and Barca, Real, Chelsea, Liverpool, all these guys can't come in the first 16 of those teams, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, yeah. But, going back to that Chelsea-Barca game, score predictions, HH. How are you feeling? Are you going to be confident?
I'm gonna say 2-2.
2-2.
I'm gonna say 2-2. I was gonna say 3-2, but I just think we'll cancel each other out. I think there'll be goals because I just feel that defense is someone's gonna make a mistake and they're gonna be mixed behind. So I'm gonna just say 2-2. I'm gonna say 2-2.
Okay. I like that scoreline. I was originally...
What's the scoreline?
No, that was gonna be my original scoreline, but I'm thinking like, oh man, a Lamine Yamal Travella pass, a Raphinha goal.
So is Raphinha going to be starting or is going to be on the bench?
No. Raphinha isn't going to be starting. He only played, I believe, like 10 minutes against Athletic Club, and so he's going to be on the bench. It's going to be Marcus Rashford or Ferran who's going to be starting, whoever is fit, and then it's going to be Raphinha off the bench, most likely that. But I'm gonna go for a 3-2 victory. Who it is, I'm praying it's Barcelona. But I'm looking at 3-2. I'm looking at lots of goals in this game. I'm expecting a big game from Joan García. That's another player who is going to need to be turning up and everything. And obviously with Barcelona having most of their players back, sort of coming back from injury, we should be seeing a Barcelona team play really well. And that's what I want to see, because Barcelona, we saw a change of dynamics against the Athletic Club after some of the negative sensations and vibes before the international break. And so that's what I'm expecting. But rounding off the Chelsea talk and everything, HH, I want to go to you and go to like a more personal avenue. But like, obviously, this is some of my viewers, they haven't heard of you and everything, and so I want to explain. I want to ask you just to tell your story, on how you became a Chelsea fan, a football fan, and a content creator, and everything. What's your story?
So, I think the more interesting story is probably the more YouTube thing though. So I think this obviously way back like in 2010, and so I was always doing stuff on YouTube, always trying to be creative, and obviously I was always into the Champions League. I remember that my first Champions League was '95, the one that Ajax won. So I think around in 2010,
right there, he's showing his alternative age.
So my alternative, so in my alternative age, my first one was 95, but really I'm on 2021 is my real age. That's my alternative age. So then I was like, so really 2010 YouTube was really much about movie reviews. So I was like, wait a minute, like it would be cool. Because you never knew whether there was an audience, because this was way before football Twitter. So in 2010, I was like, it'd be cool if, let's say, after a Champions League game, you could have like instant reactions over the game. I'll just see what happens. Because again, look, I already had my 9-to-5 job. This was just something for fun that I always wanted to do. So it was obviously the 2010 UCL, and so this is when like I didn't have a camera, so all it was just an image and just like an audio. I was doing that, and then just had like small following. I was growing. But I was like, okay, that's fine. And I think it was probably around 2017, 2018, when I just saw like when the following begins to get bigger, and AFTV came through, Football Terrorists came through, all the sites came through, and I was like, wait a minute, because in 2010, you couldn't tell me that you could make money being a YouTuber. I was like, bro, no, this is something for fun, enjoyment. I do it because I love football. But I just think how things just changed on the internet and social media and YouTube. By the time we got to 2018, I was like, oh, it could now be a really big thing. So I think a big thing that I did was the Hangouts. And it was called Google Hangouts back in the 2010s and everything, called Google Hangouts. And then that was just a place where, okay, no, it's a live show, come in and say what's up. But I feel that like what I always wanted to do, because the market is so saturated right now, and I think what you have are very club-centric people. So I say I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm more of a football fan than I'm a Chelsea fan. Chelsea just my team, but I'm more into football. So my thing, though, is really a football channel. So football history, football tactics, Champions League, the World Cup, Euros, Copa America, AFCON. Because again, obviously, I know you're obviously from Argentina and everything. Like, when I was young, because obviously I'm the youngest, and I had like two really big brothers, we would used to watch Copa America all the time. You know, I remember my first one was like in '97, the one with like Ronaldo and Romario just going crazy. So again, and if you look at it, like no one covered Copa America. Like if you look at most of the big channels, especially most of them who are English speaking, they would not really cover a Copa America. So I think what makes my channel sort of unique is that it's a football channel that just covers football, whether that's the Euros, Copa America, touch on Copa Libertadores and different leagues,
AFCON.
which is AFCON. And I think that's the kind of people that I attract are just guys who like football. Because when you just look at other channels, it's very tribal about blah blah blah. But like for us, like we like our clubs and everything, but we are more football enthusiasts and we just love football. So my passion is football, which is what
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started watching your channel, because as I said, I started watching your content back in 2016. I remember it was Barcelona, and it was that season. Obviously, it was the PSG game, the remontada. It was the Juve game. I remember watching your content back then. You know, initially, you know. When I'm having breakfast and everything, I just tune in and I watch it. But you know, it was that love for football that made me watch it. And you know, it's crazy that you mentioned that, because that's the exact reason why, you know, I started watching your content and why I basically created this channel, you know, for myself, because we're football enjoyers who enjoy talking about it, who enjoy the sport, who when we watch football, we just enjoy it. It's something that we absolutely love.
No, because I think what I found is there are two types of fans. I think there are people, and this may sound weird, but there are people that love their club more than football, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
You know, that makes sense. So there are guys where it's about their club. They don't really actually love football. They don't actually really like football. They just love their club. And there are guys who, they like their club, but they actually love football. So the guy that loves their club, if they say, you know, this player is better. So no, he's not, because my guy is better than that. But no. So basically, for instance, like, it would be sacrilege for me to be like, Thierry Henry is one of the best players ever. But you're a Chelsea fan. You should hate Arsenal. I don't give a damn. Thierry Henry is an amazing player. I don't care whether he plays for a rival. Thierry Henry is an amazing player and the best player in the Premier League history. Those are the facts. So
I mean, you know, looking at it from a Barcelona perspective, I have tons of respect for Modric, tons of respect for Toni Kroos, you know, for Zidane, you know, legends of Real Madrid and of football. And obviously, you know, there's that rivalry going on, but you know, I have respect and I recognize the quality of these players, and that's just like something that some fans don't do, and that's just sort of the difference, isn't it?
Because I just think that, like, being tribal for me is just not fun. Like for me, I've always said for a long time that Yamal is the best player in the world, you know, and just how I just view football and just how I appreciate football, I just think he's the best player. So,
but that's crazy, because he's 18. He's 18, and you're telling me that in the footballing landscape, there's no one who can, you know, who because I recognize his quality, but. An 18-year-old shouldn't be the best player in the world.
He
should not.
Which is what I try to explain to people, is that Yamal is playing with house money. So people always get at me when I say, okay, Yamal is the best player in the world. And then they try to critique him as a 28-year-old. But I'm like, no, you can't do that, because he is still young. And if you understand biology and football development, you are still developing as a teenager. The issue is football has changed. We don't have individuals anymore. The number 10 has died. There are hardly any individuals, and the luxury players are around. So basically, the concept of a Francesco Totti does not exist now. The concept of a Mesut Ozil doesn't exist now, because football is robotic, it's mechanic, it's predictable, and there are less individuals. So again, I think I respect Bellingham, because I still feel Bellingham is a huge talent, and he's a great impact player. But Bellingham is not the kind of guys that I grew up with, in terms of how you can individually do things. But when I look at Yamal, I'm like, bro, like the kinds of things that he's just doing as an individual, no one really else is really doing. And in the way that he can decide a game by himself, and the combination of his goal scoring, his passing, his creativity, and his dribbling. Because again, I think, it's almost like a cultural thing. I think Europeans look more at passing and goal scoring. I think South Americans and even more so Africans look more so at dribbling and
the
flair
flair.
with a mixture, basically with flair. And Europeans don't really like flair. They think, okay, what do you do? Because Europeans just want, okay, how are you effective? And they're much more about passing. But if you look at South American football or even African football, it's much more about dribbling and what you can do as an individual. So for me, growing up, I look at guys who can dribble and the ability on the ball and what they can do with the ball, which is why Messi was such a supernova, because he could give you the stats, he could give you the dribbling, and he could decide things as an individual. So it's just so simple as where when the ball is at someone's feet, what can they do? How can they affect the game? And look, Ousmane Dembele deserved the Ballon d'Or based on what he did and what he achieved. But if you ask me who was the best football player last season, it was Yamal. No. He was the best player. Now, he may not have had the trophies, or let's him to the trophies, but for me, I feel he was a better football player and performed better as a footballer than Ousmane Dembele. That's just how I view it. So, yeah.
And what a redemption story, because I remember, back in, after that World Cup final in 2022, we were absolutely butchering him. There's so many names being called, and he had an absolute redemption season with PSG.
Yes.
Having multiple injuries and being able to have that season with PSG is absolutely fantastic. And obviously, I know he's most likely not going to replicate that, but that's something going to be historic for Ousmane Dembele. And when you're talking about football in general and how it's changed since you first started watching it to is now, that's why I think the World Cup is still so sacred, because I don't think that has contaminated the World Cup as of yet. You still feel the emotional. It's not. It's raw football. I believe.
And also, do you know why that is? Because in a given year, you see your international team maybe 3-4 times, maybe. Club team, I think it was Bernardo Silva who said that he spends more time with his club teammates than his wife.
Yeah.
In terms of training match, he probably spends more time with his teammates than he does with his wife and his own family. So when you do that, you are entrenched in this micromanagement of tactics. So if you see your team only 3 or 4 times, you can't entrench a team with tactics. So what do you fall back on? Culture.
Yeah, culture.
Every country has a way that they culturally view how to play football. And I think that when you just look at international football, there is a freedom to it. Yeah. Like I remember I did like a video on like the Scotland Denmark game, and just how exciting that was, because that was just raw football. And that excitement, I think we are losing it in club football, because in club football, what you're just seeing is the managers have way too much control, and they don't give enough control to individuals. International football is about individuals.
Yeah.
Like there's only so much the coach can do. International football, it is down to what can you, the individual, do in this game, because you can't over micromanage internationally. It doesn't work.
And it's so important. The importance of the World Cup is just, there's nothing like it in sports. You see what it means to people. For example, look at Haiti, who have just qualified for that World Cup. You see on the other end, Italy struggling, to get there. Your team, I watched the hangout. I watched it. Nigeria, a powerhouse in Africa, unable to qualify for the World Cup. But you see managers, players, working so hard, crying, just having that emotions, for that World Cup. And when I see that, I'm super excited already right now for that draw in December, for that
December 5th, bro. Yeah,
in the summer.
Well, no, because I see, like, again, my alternative age. My first World Cup was the '94 World Cup, which was in America. And I remember how much of a big deal that was. Yeah. And I think that's what America is going to see, because again, we are fast forwarded into social media, greater marketing, and it's a whole different world in 2026 as opposed to what it was in 1994. And I think Americans will see that there's nothing, you can pump up the Super Bowl all you want. There's something different about the World Cup. And once they just see just how it's covered, the blend of fans, the blend of cultures, what it's about, they'll really understand that, oh, no, this football thing is something truly special. And the World Cup it's unlike any other sporting event in the world.
No, 100%. And I remember having that experience when I went to Qatar and experiencing that, for the first time.
Yes.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. No. Seeing your nation compete in the World Cup, there's no better feeling than it. It's just simple as that. Having your people, your nation, your culture, your team out there in that stadium playing.
Yes.
There's nothing to experience. That's why I say, the best memories I have is from that experience, being in the World Cup in Qatar and everything. And so, before we round off, I want to ask you, what is that moment where you say, hey, this is the most memorable experience I have as a football fan, whether that be watching Chelsea, whether that be watching Drogba score that header against Bayern, whether it be.
I think obviously that, but if you just say the real emotion, it's got to be Rashidi Yekini scoring Nigeria's very first goal at the World Cup.
Wow.
So basically, again, so I didn't know how big football was because I was young and everything. So once we qualified, I was like, wait, why is it such a big deal why we qualified? And I'd never felt a whole country more united than we were when we were at the World Cup. Because it just felt like if the entire country just shut down watching us watch the World Cup. So just seeing Yekini score that goal and just seeing how much it's meant to him. And I'm passionate, I was like, bro, this football thing is weird. It's strange. This World Cup thing is crazy because you go around and literally a country of 200 million people, everybody is just talking about this World Cup, the one game. So just the way that
fishball
game...
net. Fishball net,
fishball. It's literally. It's like, again, this is just why, you know how it's like, what's it say? Like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. When you try to, a woman will try to explain to you just why this shopping bag is so important, or why this romantic film is so important, you're like, what? I can understand how women will be like, why do you care about 20 guys running around trying to put a ball inside a damn fishnet? It's stupid. Yeah. Is this guy trying to, but there's something, I don't know what it is, there's just something about this sport that just consumes you and just absorbs you emotionally that it just doesn't make sense. So just seeing Nigeria at that World Cup and just scoring the goal, putting the ball inside that fishnet, I was like, because that was the moment where, oh no, this sport is this is my sport. This is it. This is it. 100%.
No, and it's crazy. In the first intergalactic World Cup where you have Venus, Mars, Pluto, everyone invited. Nigeria aren't there.
And did you know what makes it worse? I believe that outside of Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, maybe South Africa, I think the country that has the most Nigerians is America. My uncle, he's lived in Atlanta for since the 90s and everything, and he's a big football fan. So I've not even had the heart to even text him to say how did you feel? But the fact that the amount of Nigerians who live in America and the amounts of Nigerian Americans, Nigerian immigrants all living there, and the fact that they did not make it, I just think it's an abomination. It's an abomination.
My first World Cup that I watched was in 2010, but I was super little. I didn't really watch much of it. But the real one that I watched for real, when I watched basically every single game, it was in 2014.
Oh yeah, and that was a great one, bro.
It was a great World Cup. But looking at it, Argentina versus Nigeria was a staple.
Yes.
You saw that often. You saw that in 2014, and you even saw that in 2018 as well.
Oh no. Again, I'll tell you even a quick story because you probably find this funny. So, 94 World Cup. So remember, our group was Bulgaria, Greece, and Argentina, and I think Argentina was our second game, and we had just heard of Maradona, and Maradona was this mythical figure. Yeah. Of bro, Maradona. So the rumor is apparently the Nigerian players were actually scared of Maradona because they were building on such a mythical figure. So even if you look at the match, we were actually scared of trying to tackle him because we were like, bro, this is the great Maradona. So and again, it just shows you how things are different. Hey, look, I'm not going to do a whole Messi goals and everything, but those are times when you are actually afraid of players. And even for me, super young, I was like, bro, who is this Maradona guy? And I just felt his aura and just his presence of just what he was about, just based on just how guys were talking about him, about what he did. This is the guy that did this stuff in '86. So again, look, football is football. Yeah. There's just something about international football that is just different.
No,
there's just different,
It's the love for the game. I as I said, it's raw football at its purest. If every single one of the people who are watching this, who are going to watch it, I'm pretty sure that they watched the World Cup and they're familiar with it. But to those who don't watch football or haven't watched it yet, I would say that they're missing out, and that's something that has to be a checklist to be done and everything. But HH, it was lovely having you on.
Oh, this was great. This was a great convo. I really enjoyed this, bro.
A legendary figure, I would say.
Hey, really, I'm not legendary, bro. No, I'm just a guy.
No, well, I'm just saying, just because, like, as I said, I've been one of your supporters for so long, and to have you on, that's just like, it's a memorable experience for me as well. Obviously, you say some of the most outlandish things.
Hey,
Lukaku number 10, Verratti better than Xavi. Obviously, you have that saying, Messi's daddy, of course, which and you post that GIF, which like rage baits me around. And I'm don't let him get to you. Don't let him get to you and everything. But it is what it is. But to tell the viewers, just like what's going to be coming up on your channel, where are the plans?
So look, I think, again, you can catch me obviously Half-Foot Football Hot. Obviously, halffootballhot.com is the website. Half-Foot Football Hot is the channel. Again, I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well. You can just go to the website halffootballhot.com for all the socials, and obviously, again, UCL week, so we have a hangout every Saturday and every Sunday. And when it's UCL week, we have a live stream hangout after show. So we have a live stream Tuesday, on Wednesday, and obviously a big one on Sunday, Chelsea against Iggy. So pull through, guys, pull through.
Absolutely. Well, guys, as HH said, I'll be posting all the links down below in the comments, all his social media platforms. So that's going to be super, super exciting for you guys to see. But HH, thank you for stopping by. It was absolutely fantastic. I love this discussion, and I'll have you on more often.
Oh, for sure.
But guys, this would be on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So if you guys prefer to listen to the episodes through those mediums, feel free. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and see you guys all on the next one. Peace out, guys.
Peace.